Hey everybody, this is SSJ Blue Vegeta, the admin of this YouTube channel. I have been recording all the other Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profiles, but now I am showcasing my very own. So, let's get on into it. It's the Odd Eyes deck profile. Run 3 Odd Eyes Arc Pendulum Dragons, the heart and soul of this deck, basically to say. And basically, you use him for his Pendulum effect, you can use him for his as a normal monster, but you don't really do that. You use him for his Pendulum effect, to where when a Pendulum monster or an Odd Eyes card is destroyed, you can special summon from the deck, which is really good. And 3 regular Pendulum Dragons. Now 3 of him, I usually use him for his monster effect a lot, but you can use him for his Pendulum effect, which is still really good, to where any battle damage involving a Pendulum card becomes 0, and he does some in-phase stuff that I don't really use, but it's a pretty good card. And the next are 3 Persona Dragons. Persona is really good. You really use him as a tuna for a synchro dude. You can use him for his other effect to negate the effect of an extra deck monster, which you can use and then go into a synchro and stuff. But yeah, on to the 2-0s in the deck. You run 2 Odd Eyes Phantom Dragon. This guy is really good for OTK potential. Again, I use him for his monster effect and I release Pendulum effect, to where if he inflicts battle damage, you can do 1200 for each of your Pendulum scales. So that's 25 on direct attack plus just the 24 burn damage in general, which is pretty good. On to another one. 2 Odd Eyes Mirage Dragons. Run 2 of him. You could lower it down to 1. I've seen people run 1, but you use him for like another scale if you don't have access to Arc Pendulum, or just another card to blow up with Sky Iris, which we'll get to here in a moment. Next off, for the other 2-ofs, 2 Odd Eyes Lancer Dragon. I have seen people run 1. I run 2 because 1 has not really been sufficient that much. 2 is pretty good. You will draw into it more often, which is its downside, but you can use him for his normal summon effect, which is still pretty good. Then 1 Performance Pal Odd Eyes Dissolver. I don't really use his monster effect. I usually mainly use his Pendulum effect of being able to fuse once per turn. It's really good. Now on to your tuners. 1 Performance Pal Odd Eyes Synchron and 1 Noble Dragon Magician. Basically, if you use Noble Dragon Magician and Odd Eyes Persona, you get into a really cool extra deck, which we'll get here in a moment. And Performance Pal, he's just really good in general. And now on to our one of in the deck, my little spicy tech, I guess you could say, Odd Eyes Gravity Dragon. I have seen people run none of this card. Usually you can run it. I like to get on there because you look at your opponent's field, it's like, oh, you have spell traps? Nah, you don't no more. Returns them all to the hand, they can't activate nothing in response to it. And your opponent gets 500 points of burn damage every time they try to activate something. Now let's go on to the spells of the deck. 3 Sky Iris. 3 Sky Iris, it's your field spell that's really awesome. If you get him on the field with Odd Eyes Arc Pendulum, you got the Wombo combo. If you have another Pendulum where you blow up him, search a card, and then with his effect, special summon Lancer, which is really good. You can also set another scale and stuff like that. And also protects your Pendulums, which they cannot be targeted, which is really good. Then to search out the Sky Iris, 2 Terraformings. Just search it out, stuff like that. Now, as one of the main searchers in any Pendulum deck, 3 Duelist Alliance. Sadly, it's once per turn, so that's its little restriction. But hey, it's a searcher, and Odd Eyes has a lot of searching. Now, on to the other spells. 3 Spiral Flame Strike. This is not once per turn, so that's really amazing if you draw all 3 in your opening hand. And basically, if you control an Odd Eyes card, target a card on the field and destroy it, or search a Pendulum monster. Now, and then you run 2 Odd Eyes Fusion. So, just another way to fuse besides Performance Pal Odd Eyes Dissolver. You could take out one of these for a second Dissolver, or take out Dissolver for a third fusion, but I like Dissolver just even as a scale in general. It's just a good scale. Honestly, there's 2 Odd Eyes Advent to get out your Gravity Dragon. The reason I run 2 is because you can get him out from grave if your opponent were to kill him. Then on to the other spells. Wavering Eyes. You run 2 Wavering Eyes. I've seen people run 3, and you don't want to run any less than 2. Now, if you have both of them in your opening hand, that's terrible. But if you're going up against a mirror match or just another pendulum deck in general, Wavering Eyes is really, really good. And he's just really good in general, even by his lonesome, if it's just you with your pendulums. So that's really good. Basically, he destroys all the scales. Your opponent takes 500 burn damage, and you get a search. And then if you destroy 4 scales, you get to banish a card and search out another Wavering Eyes. So that's really cool. That's why you run 2, because you use 1 to search out the other. Now, on to the last little bit of spells. 2 Mystical Space Typhoons for Spell Trap Destruction. Because sometimes you get that anti-spell fragrance, and you're like, oh man. And then you're like, oh wait, MST, I can do stuff now. Okay, now that's it for the spells. Let's go on to the traps. I only run 2 traps, 1 Quacking Mirror Force and 1 Storming Mirror Force. Now yes, this says Quaking, but I call it Quacking, because basically your opponent tries to declare attack. Well, quack, quack, put them face down. It's really nice, pretty nifty. And your and then Storming Mirror Force. Let me just focus back here. Storming Mirror Force. Return them all back to hand. Good for this Link format, because with Quacking, Link monsters cannot be put face down. Now that's it for the main deck. Let's go on to the extra deck. 2 Odd Eyes Absolute Dragon. This guy is really good. Just a generic Xyz that you can get into. Really good. Then run 1 Big Eye, just steal an opponent's monster. Really nifty. 1 Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon for that more burn damage. If you got good old Gravity Dragon over here and him on the field, then your opponent takes 1,000 burn damage for anything they activate, which can that's just a lot of burn damage. And then 1 got the Thunder Charger dude. Basically, if your opponent's got like a face down monster, just their last resort, they're like, man, you put them face down, your opponent's like a set and pass, they're in a desperate time, and you get out this guy, you just pierce over that monster. So yeah. Now on to our synchros. Supreme King Dragon Clearwing. I don't really synchro summon with this deck. I've mainly gone for the fusions and the Xyz summons. But this dude, he's really cool. Then you got Odd Eyes Meteor Burst Dragon. This guy is also really cool and really nifty. So yeah. And now for our other little bit of really spicy tech here. Ignister. Basically, he's really good because he does not target. You can get a guy, shuffle him into the deck, and you get a guy your opponent controls and shuffle it into the deck. That's what I meant to say. For the last synchro, 1 Clear Wing Synchro Dragon. Negates a level 5 or higher monster, so if you're going up against Blue Eyes, they try to activate alternative, you're like, nah brah. You just stop that. On to the fusions. 1 Clearwing Starving Venom Dragon Dude. Basically use him as fodder for another guy we'll get to in a moment. And then you run 2 Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon. His effect, upon summon, target a level 5 or higher monster your opponent controls, return to the hand, and just can negate spell traps and other stuff. But that's just once per turn, which is isn't as good. Then for not our last fusion monster, another good fusion guy, Starving Venom Fusion Dragon. First 2 dark monsters, get up to a really big beat stick and stuff like that. So that's good, and so you can just whack over anything your opponent's got. If it can't be targeted and it's got high attack points, Chaos Max, Blue Eyes Chaos Max, just attack over it. And then you run 2 Odd Eyes Venom Dragon. He needs a starving Venom monster and an Odd Eyes monster. You can make this guy. He's basically Starving Venom with more attack points, but his effect to gain attack points does target, and that's his downside. And you can Pendulum Summon him, but you can't really do that in this deck because your highest scale is 8 and stuff like that. So that is it for the Odd Eyes deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed. hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, comment down below for any questions, and that is it. See you in the next one.